Hey, what's going on, guys? If you got a TV like this, you want to mount it on the wall, stay tuned to this video. I'm going to show you guys how I do it, and I'm going to show you the tips and tricks that I use to mount your TV, whether you're using a fixed mounting bracket like this one or a single arm articulating one like this one. Stay tuned to this video and I'll show you guys how easy it is to do. Alright guys, welcome back to the channel. If it's your first time here, welcome. And for all my long-time subscribers, welcome back. Today, I'm going to be doing mounting a TV on a wall. Everybody wants to mount their TV. Well, I shouldn't say everybody, but if you want to mount your TV on the wall, this is the video for you. I'm going to show you how I do it. As usual, I will leave links in the description for everything that I use, and there's timestamps as well, so you can jump back and forth in this video if you need to. I'm going to cover two scenarios, one with a single arm mount, and the second one is with the fixed wall bracket. Whichever scenario applies to you, you can go to that portion of the video, but I suggest watching the whole thing through because there are tips and tricks that I use that include both of them, and it may be helpful to you and it may steer you in the right direction depending on which one you're thinking about getting and which one you actually have. The first thing you want to do, like I did, is get everything out the way. You want to work with a clean slate, nothing on the walls, and you want to make sure that everything is clean and clear, so once you start this project, you don't have anything obstructing your way. Next, you're going to need yourself some tape and a pencil and a level. Now, a lot of times people get intimidated by mounting TVs on the wall because they think they need to mount it into a stud. Now, you should if you can, because it's going to provide extra stability for your TV. But in this day and age, there are different types of anchoring bolts that you can use that are just as strong and will help you, especially nowadays since TVs are pretty light. They're not heavy like they used to be. So what you want to do first is you want to locate where you want your TV to be, the center of your TV, right? Once you've located where you want it, that's going to be your starting point. The next thing you want to do is you want to start by looking for a stud so you know where your studs are. Now, I like to mount my TVs. You can't see it here, but I'm going to put my TV here, and directly below it is an outlet. If you can, that's what you want, because I'm going to show you as well how you can move that outlet from down below to behind your TV, so all your wires are out of the way and all you see is your nice TV mounted on the wall with no cables hanging down and nothing like that. All right, with all that out the way, you guys are ready? Let's jump into the video and let me show you how to start. All right, the first mounting scenario we're going to look at is the one with a single arm and it's articulating like this. Now you want to get it out your box, and if you can see here, there's a mounting plate. This mounts against the wall. Now this thing mounts in a certain direction, not like this, like this. You can see here, typically the mounting bracket usually has a part that indicates top, which means this needs to be facing up. And you can see here we have 3 holes. These are where your screws are going to go. So now, the only thing you need to know about this scenario is you need to get a line on your wall. This is going to be the center of your TV, and you want to draw a line level. Next, you're going to mark the holes. You're going to put your toggle bolts in, and I'm going to show you which ones I use for this scenario. And then you're going to mount this to the wall. Now, to mount this style, I like to use these type of toggle bolts. And the way they work is pretty ingenious. It just has a little tab right here. You pre-drill a hole, you slide the toggle bolt like this through the hole, you pull down on the zip tie, it's going to go into the hole, and then you can use it to drive your screw in. This will expand the toggle bolt, pull it snug to your drywall, and you should be good. Now, each one of these that I'm using are rated for 75 pounds each, and I'm going to put 3 in there. So you do the math. This should hold any modern TV that you have without any studs, without any problems. Don't be intimidated by it. I'll show you exactly how easy it is in the step-by-step. All right, now you got your toggle bolts, you got yourself some tape, a pencil. That's all you need for this process to start, and you're going to need a drill to drill the holes. Now let's jump into it. Let me show you how easy it is. One thing to note about these, yours may come with the mounting bracket not installed on your arm, which makes it a lot easier because you don't have to work with this whole thing, but it doesn't really matter. The whole idea is you need to get this mounted onto the wall level, and that's it. Another thing to know, my scenario is for drywall, so I'm using those toggle bolts. Now, if you guys have a wood backing or you guys have exterior block wall, you're going to want to use some Tapcons or some bolts that can go into cementitious board, whatever it is, or you can just use wood screws that will go into the wood backing. Once you know what substrate you're going to mount it to, next thing we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and start prepping to mount this bracket. Now let's do it. All right, the first thing you want to do is you want to put a piece of tape on your wall, and you want to draw a level line with your level going all the way down. The next thing you want to do is grab yourself your bracket. Make sure it's oriented in the right direction. As you can see here, mine says top. I know the top is up here. And what you want to do is you want to line up the 3 holes with the line passing through the center of the 3 holes. Next, you want to go ahead and mark your holes, and you're done with the first step. The next thing you want to do is you want to drill 3 half-inch holes right where you put your mark. Now you can go ahead and remove your tape. And now you want to take your toggle bolts. The ones I have here require a half-inch hole. They do have smaller ones that require 3/8 or 1/4-inch holes, but this is what I had on hand, so I'm going to show you guys how to use this. The next thing you want to do is you want to take your toggle bolt and you want to flip it, you want to squeeze it and slide it into the hole all the way through till it snaps through the hole. Next, you just slide the retention piece down till it's nice and snug. And then here's the fun part. You just break it off. That's one. You're going to repeat this 2 more times until all your holes are plugged. Now that you have your 3 holes, you're going to take your bolts that came in your package for the toggle bolts, and what we're going to do is we're going to drive these in. Now what I like to do is I like to put a washer on first, just to put a little bit of extra support. In your packet that come with your mounting bracket, you should have a bunch of stuff in here, and I like to use the washers. I like to use the washers that come in here, and I'll put these on the head of these before I drive them through. So what you're going to see me doing now is putting these on. They'll have the washer on, and I'm going to drive it in with my screw gun. I like to get the first one started just so I can have a little help. Once you have them in, you don't have to put them in all the way. You can use your level to check it just to make sure that your bracket is nice and level before you tighten it up. As you can see here, it's pretty level. Now that everything is level, you can tighten up the screws. And just like that, your bracket is mounted. And this isn't going anywhere. You can hang your TV on here securely and safely. All right. So you got your articulating arm bracket mounted on the wall, and the only thing left to do is to hang the TV. I'll show you guys how to mount the bracket on the back of the TV before you have to mount it on here later on in the video. But what if you don't have an articulating arm mount, or you don't want one, and you have the fixed mount like this? Now, let me show you how to mount the fixed mount, and then we'll get into mounting the TV brackets before we hang it. All right, let's jump into it. I went ahead and put a piece of tape here to mark where my stud is. The good thing about having the long bracket that we're going to mount here is you have options in case you have, ideally you'd love to be able to catch a stud in all 4 corners. However, depending on where you want your TV, you may not have that option. But what is a good option is if you are able to find one stud, you can see right here, my stud is located here. You can go ahead and mark yourself a level line in the middle of that tape, or mark yourself a level line so you know where that stud is. Now I know that my stud is going to be here. That way, whenever I'm mounting my bracket, I can go ahead and line up one of the holes, either the far hole here, or if I need to mount my TV over some more, I can slide it over and I can put this hole here for the stud. What that gives you the advantage of this bracket is at least you know that you have your stud caught in 2 of the locations. Now, again, This video is going to show you how you can do it without having any of the studs. So what I'm going to do on purpose is I'm going to move it over so that it's not in line with any of the studs. And I'm going to show you what I like to do. The cool thing about these is that it actually comes with a level built into the kit. Most of the time they do. Now you can just clip this on and level up your bracket. Make sure your bubble is in the center, and that is level. Or if it doesn't have one of these, you can go ahead and take your regular level, line it up, and that's level. Now what you want to do here is you want to mark the center of each one of the holes. And this gives you the option to move your bracket side to side if you need to make any minor adjustments. I like to keep all of them in the center. All right, that way we know our bracket is level and we have the location of all of our holes that we need to put. If you guys saw the first part about putting the single arm mount in using these toggle bolts, you can use these as well. What you would do is you drill a 1/2 inch hole, because a 1/2 inch corresponds to the one for here. So you would drill your hole in here, slide your toggle bolt in, pull back on the zip tie, and then once you have it all in place, you could line up your bracket, drive the bolts in, and get it nice and snug. This will hold, if you use these, it will hold up to 200 pounds. And I don't know any TVs of this size that are going to be that heavy. So for the purposes of this video, I'm going to show you guys another method I use, which are using these type of anchor bolts. Now the way these work are, you just drive these in, and once they're snug, you leave it. Once you line up your bracket, you drive the screws in. The screws will snap the head and cause it to tighten up on the drywall. I like to use these whenever I'm using the fixed mounting plate, because there's so many screws and it goes a lot faster, and I know that the bracket is going to be secure no matter what. So drive these in with a screw gun till they're nice and snug to the drywall, and then we're going to go ahead and put our bracket on, and I'll show you guys that right now. Now in the packet that came with your bracket, you're going to have a bunch of screws here and some washers. So what you want to do is you want to use the washers from here and the screws that come with your anchor bolts, and that's what you're going to use to drive these in. So you're going to want to put a washer like this with the screw through it, and then we're going to line up our holes for our bracket and drive the screws in. Now in this case, it only came with 4 washers. But if you have more, you can use more. The more the merrier. You can put as many screws as you can in here. That will keep it tight and secure, and you'll know that you'll have a nice snug fit once you put everything in place. All right, I'm going to show you guys how to do it, and let's jump into it. You want to make sure that your bracket is oriented in the right direction. Usually it will say top or up if you need to mount it in a certain direction. This one doesn't, but I'm going to line it up where the wording is in the right direction. And we're going to go ahead and put our screws in. What I like to do is I like to start with one of the center ones first. That way I have it nice and secure, and then I can put the rest of the bolts in. Now that it's nice and snug, I can go ahead and now I can adjust my bracket if I need to. This one came with only 4 washers, so I'm only going to put the 4 in the middle on first. Once you have all your screws in, you can go ahead and put your level on to make sure that your bracket is nice and level. Now that you have that done, if it wasn't level, you can just loosen the screws a little bit, keep your level in place, adjust them, tighten them down until it's perfectly level, because that's exactly what you want. Especially in these type of brackets, you don't have much play in the orientation and the levelness of your screen. The single arm bracket, the head is actually swiveled, so if the bracket isn't perfectly level, you can always adjust it by turning the TV and locking it in place to a level orientation. But for this one, once your bracket is on, it's not going anywhere. I can pull on this and swing on it and it won't go anywhere. Now that you have your fixed TV wall mount on the wall, the only thing left to do now is mount the brackets on the back of the TV so that we can hang this bad boy up and get our project nice and done. I'm going to show you the two different brackets, the one for the fixed mount and again the one for the articulating single arm mount. And then once that's done, we'll hang them on the wall and be done with it. If your TV has the legs mounted on them, you want to go ahead and remove the legs from your TV. These are usually just held in place with screws, but you can go ahead and remove the screws so you have a flat surface to work on. Take your legs and set them to the side. Now for the fixed mount bracket, you should have two arms like this. Typically that's how they're going to work. And on your TV, you're going to have screw holes here and here, here and here. They should be lined up. Now, in the box that they provide, they're going to send you a bunch of different spacers and stuff like that that you're going to use to mount on here. On this TV, I don't know if you can tell, but this screw hole is more recessed than this one. It's not on the same surface, so I'm going to have to put a spacer in here. You may not. Yours may have a flat back on the TV. If you do, you're in luck. What you want to do is you want to line up your holes first. Make sure that they're the right size. Now, if you have a pull tab, you want to make sure that you mount this in the right direction. This should be at the bottom because that's what it uses to latch on. So make sure, since this is the base of your TV, your bracket should be oriented like this. Make sure it's on the same side for the other one. One thing you want to make sure of when you're putting these screws in is the length of these screws. You don't want them too long because if you drive them through these holes and they're too long, you may puncture your screen or break something. So you can tell here, I have the short screws that are going in these holes here, and I have longer screws that are going in on the end there because I got a bigger space at the end than I do here. So go ahead and put these in. Ideally, you'd want to put them in with a screwdriver. That way you don't run the risk of over tightening them. All right. Now all you got to do is tighten down the screws. All right. Now you're ready to hang your TV on the wall. As you can see here, my brackets are mounted. They're screwed on nice and secure. And all I need to do is hang it on the bracket here. Now if you notice here, there are some latches. These latches actually sit on the top rail here, and the rail goes underneath them like this. And once you latch them on, you just push on the TV, and these springs down here clamp onto the bottom part of the bracket. Now, if you have somebody to help you, you can use them. If not, you definitely can do it by yourself. I'm about to show you. All right, so whatever you have connected to the TV, you want to put it on now before you hang it, whether that's a power cord or it's your Fire Stick or whatever you want to plug it in before you hang it. All right, so let's go ahead, see if we can get this done. Again, if you have somebody to help you, it's going to be a lot faster, but it shouldn't take you any time. As long as you line up the bracket, you should be good to go. All right, let's hang it up. And that's it. All right, one of the tips I like to use is I tilt the TV back a little bit, slide it till I feel it grip on the bracket, and then you just push the TV down on the base and it will snap into place. All right, so now that you guys have your TVs mounted, I've showed you the scenarios for both different types of brackets that you can use to mount your TVs here. Either one is easy, it doesn't matter, it's just your preference, whichever one you feel more comfortable doing, and maybe whichever one you already have around the house. Now look, if you haven't seen my video, check it out. There's a link somewhere where I show you how to move the power outlet from below your TV to behind your TV so that you can have a seamless integration with no wires exposed, nothing. If you haven't seen it, check it out. That's a video only focused on moving your outlet from below to behind your TV. All right, now the trickiest part for the install on the bracket on the back of the TV is usually these arms that come with it. What I like to do is I take the plate off and make sure the up arrow is pointing to the top of the TV, and then I set this aside. Next, I put a screw in each one of the holes here so that this can slide back and forth. And what I like to do next, because I don't like to read my manual, of course, is to just try and line up the bracket with the holes as best as I can. And then what I do is I'll catch one screw in the bracket temporarily. And then I try to line up the other holes. And usually you kind of find out easy which one of these holes line up with the right screw, and then you can kind of work your way around the bracket. Once you have them lined up, I like to go ahead and just tighten them down one by one so that the bracket just locks into place. You don't have to have this thing perfectly level because the bracket that's mounted on the wall actually has a hinge in it that you can adjust it right or left a little bit if you have to. But what you want to do next is tighten up all the screws. The whole idea is just to show you guys how to get this thing mounted and how we're going to mount it on the wall. So once you have your bracket mounted here, the most important thing is making sure that this arrow is facing up. Once this is facing up and you have all your screws tightened in and locked into place, we can go ahead and hang this thing on the wall. Let's go ahead and do it. The bracket has this little plate here. Again, you can see here the arrow is facing up. You want to slide this into the slot on the back of your TV. You want to slide it into the slot right there on the back of your TV. This could be easier if you have somebody to help you, but if not, all you got to do is slide it in and it will slide right into the slot. Now there are two screws here that you have. There are two bolts that come with the bracket. There are two nuts, and all they do is screw on here to lock the arm in place. You can tighten that up with a screwdriver or a socket, but what you want to do is put these on so the TV doesn't fall off the bracket, and that's it. And you can see here this hinge, again the same thing. It has a nut that you can adjust the tilt of the TV. You just slide it to whatever tilt you want and tighten up these nuts, and then that's it. Apart from that, your TV is ready. Right. Once you have it mounted on the bracket, typically they send you a little socket set here that you can use to tighten those screws in the back. Once you have them tightened down to the setting that you want, the tilt, the adjustment, all you got to do is snug them up. Right now, as you can see, I have mine here. It's off the wall, but I can push it right back in and it mounts up nice to the wall. Now, if your TV is off, like I showed you, you can have, there's some adjustments you can make to straighten it if it's not completely level. But that's the advantage that these brackets have over the fixed mount ones, is that you can play with it a little bit to adjust it to whatever you want. All right, guys, welcome back. That was not so hard. You've got your TV mounted on the wall, and now you can have it nice and clean and clear. Impress your guests, have your TV mounted all by yourself. If you guys found this helpful, remember, hit that thumbs up, give me a like, share it with your friends, and until next time, I'll see you guys in the next video.